In today's financial world, it's easy to feel lost, overwhelmed by headlines, market swings, and conflicting advice. But retirement doesn't have to be a guessing game. With the right plan and the right guidance, you can move forward with purpose and confidence. Join us as Tom Mosley, founder of Mosley Wealth Management, cuts through the noise to help you focus on what really matters: protecting your savings, building reliable income, and making smart choices for your future. This is Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.
Hey everybody, welcome on into the program. We are thrilled to have you on board for Right on the Money for another great week with our fearless leader and president, Tom Mosley, president of Mosley Wealth Management, as we invite you in to break down some of the most important topics about your money, your finances, your retirement, Tom. And I do think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel that people are starting to pay more attention to these types of headlines, Tom, than ever before. And maybe it's just my age. I'm now finally over the age of 50, but I do feel like people are paying more attention to this stuff, and it's a good thing.
Well, there's another reason. In 2008, they first came out and said Social Security is not sound. And possibly in the next 25 years, well, if you add 25 to 2008, you're looking at 2033. They have been telling us since 2008 that Social Security is not on sound footing. And also in the Social Security little blurb they used to send out, the little 4-page paper, and you can go online and get it. They used to say that unless Congress acts, changes will need to be made in the payouts in 2033. Wow, there's that number again. And the headlines, as you mentioned, Dana, came back out again just recently, and it said, guess what? 2033. So they've been targeting that time for a long time. You know, it's sort of like GPS. It's really weird that I can get into the car after an event in Calabasas, which is 55 miles from my house, and all the traffic in LA, and it can route me through downtown LA or around through Pasadena or down the 405 by LAX, depending on what's the best route. But it will tell me that I will be there in an hour and 44 minutes. And I am amazed at how many times I get there, and guess what time it is? It's an hour
44 on the dot.
44 minutes. I know. So with Social Security, Dana, they've been warning us. They've been telling us, and now 2033 is not that far away. So we're waking up and we're saying, wait a minute, what happens if they do reduce it? And these numbers are flexible too. And we only get between 75 and 79%. This recent report for this year, when they dusted it off and put it back in the newspapers again, was 77%. That's pretty much right in the middle of 75 and 79 as I do math and remember back when I did averages. So you know, they've been telling us, they've been warning us it's coming. So it's not news out there. It's been coming down the pipe for a long time.
And Tom, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul for a long time, which is essentially what Social Security is. And I think people are going to be angry, and rightfully so, if we have been paying into that to fund the older generations, and then when it comes our turn, there is something, quote, less than, whatever that number is. I mean, I don't care if it's 99%, that is still less than what we have all put in. So how do you manage this with your clients when it comes to all of the buckets of money that you are supposed to be looking at in retirement? Is Social Security pushed even farther down? Or maybe that's just your icing on the cake and you cannot rely on that money in retirement?
Well, you better have an alternative plan. Now, as far as the older people drawing the money out and us putting the money in, that's the way it's always been planned. Now, one guy got in trouble for saying this recently, but it's he said it's a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, it's the world's biggest Ponzi scheme. Of course it is.
It is, and it's legal, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. We can do that by accident, or we can do that on purpose. So I'm not purposely trying to offend anybody today. And I'm just trying to tell you that's what it always is. When it first started in 1935, there were 160 people paying in for every one person drawing out.
Wow.
Now there are 2.2 people paying in for every one person drawing out. So this is a money problem. This is a math problem.
It's a math problem.
It's not a political problem. It's a political problem if they don't deal with it, because they're responsible to deal with us and to represent us and to do what's right. Now we get back to what you said, Dana. We have paid in, and we are going to expect it. I think of that guy when they did the run on the bank and It's a Wonderful Life, and he was the first guy in, and he wanted his $43.11. He wanted every penny of it, and stuff. And we don't want to go to the Social Security bank when it's our time and have somebody say, wait a minute, we're short of money. You're only going to get 77% of what you've got. But I think there's a bigger question, and that is, I don't know how you have ever been able to handle it in your life, Dana, but I've never been able to control Congress. Okay.
Pretty
you
hard.
had a lot of sway and a lot of control over Congress in your area.
Yeah, not zero.
Right. So you've got to step back and say, we've got to control what we control. Now, you ask, what do we do with our clients? That's exactly what we do. We count in on about 77% of Social Security for sure being there. Now, I think they'll make some changes, whether it's raising the full retirement age, and everybody groans out there, but they've already done that twice. It was the way Social Security was supposed to work. And if they had done that in 2008, we would pretty much be okay right now. But now we're too close to it. So they're probably going to have to raise taxes, maybe limit the payouts to those who have incomes over certain levels.
There it is.
Newsflash, I don't know if all of you've heard about it out there, but we make a habit of it being our job to hear about things. And the bill that was passed around the 4th of July, and we were no tax on Social Security is what the president was going for. Well, when it went through Congress, it ended up being a $6,000 break to people who are drawing Social Security over 65, but it phases out. If you're single over 75,000, it begins to phase out, and over 150,000, it begins to phase out. So here's what you need to know. You need to know the rules. You need to stay on top of the rules. And what you don't need to do is just go to sleep one night thinking my Social Security is going to be there. It's going to be there 100% because my congressman told me it was going to be there, because it might not be there. And that's where a financial planner comes in. And I think the biggest question is not is it going to be there? But the biggest question is, what if it drops 23% in 7.5 years? How am I going to be prepared for this?
Well, this is how they're going to be prepared. They need to get their hands on a retirement blueprint, and Tom's phenomenal team will help you be prepared. All you have to do is text VISIT to 855-526-1600. Text VISIT to 855-526-1600. And there has never been a better time to make that appointment with your team, Tom, because the rules are constantly changing.
They are changing. And you know what? The bill they passed on July 4th is not the last change. And, what was Will Rogers' famous quote? He said that the only thing certain is death and taxes. And the good news is death doesn't change every time Congress meets, because it seems like taxes or getting money out of the government or paying money to the government changes every single time. But let's bring it home to you. When you text VISIT or you call in to that number and you leave us a voicemail, you say, I don't like to text. Okay, I get it. A lot of my people don't like to text. And some of you like to just leave a voicemail. You can call the number, leave a voicemail, and you set up a visit with one of my team members. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start and we're going to build a retirement blueprint, as you said, Dana. And the number one foundational thing, that there's 6 pillars of that retirement blueprint, and the number one thing is your income.
Yep.
And income in 2023 was 41% of the American household income came from Social Security. Let me tell you something, that is a big deal. Okay. And so you better get it right. So in retirement, it's no longer your lump sum. How much do I have in my 401k or my IRA? It's how much income do I have, and is it enough? And is it enough if you're married to last as long as both of you? Will the spouse be taken care of when one spouse passes away? If you're married, if you're single, hey, you're out there on your own. I get it. And so having those streams of income, when we start building a retirement blueprint, the number one thing we look at is an income plan. And we incorporate your investments, your savings. We look at any kind of passive income streams that you have. We look at the tax efficiency of it. It's actually the fourth pillar. The second pillar is inflation. The third pillar is your investments. The fourth pillar is taxes. And, then we go into healthcare and legacy. So we build that. And in retirement, everybody's concerned when they're in their 40s about their growth rate and how much they're growing. In retirement, you better start looking at your withdrawal rate. How quickly am I drawing down on what I have for retirement? Because you are self-employed, and it's self-employed based on the money that you put away.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because the first, 10 years of retirement are statistically the most expensive, Tom, right? That is when I want to go play golf, and I want to go travel the world, and I want to go see the grandkids. As much time as people spend, and they should, focused on how to save all of that money for retirement, you also have to have an appropriate spend down strategy. Do not leave that to the wind. It is critically important, Tom.
No, that's your go-go years. I mean, you're healthier. Think about it. You're healthier than you've ever been. You've got that, not just health, but you've got that energy. You've got more energy to go do the things you want to do. You want to go to Europe. You want to take that trip to Bora Bora and sleep on the huts out over the water. You want to see the barracuda and the shark and everything else down underneath your little hut. You need to do that. You need to get that done, because not very many people in their 80s and 90s are still doing those kind of things. So if you're in your 60s and your 70s, you know what keeps people from doing that, though, Dana, is they don't have a plan. They're afraid. They're so afraid they're going to run out of money in their 80s and 90s that they're afraid to go spend the money during the go-go years, and before you get to the slow-go years, and definitely before you get to the no-go years at the end. You're afraid to spend the money because you don't have a plan, and you're afraid you're going to be jeopardizing your future. Hey, don't be that way. Get a plan.
We are here to help you do it. And you have so many seminars coming up. You are all over California, Tom, in Santa, Arcadia, Ontario, Anaheim, San Diego. Please go to the website, 𝗦iciwealthmanagement.com, 𝗦iciwealthmanagement.com, or easeintoretirement.com. easeintoretirement.com, and let us help you. Text VISIT to 855-526-1600, and please show up for one of our seminars. 855-526-1600. Let them help you develop a personalized roadmap, that retirement blueprint, to help preserve your retirement savings. We'll get it done together. And we are back with much more straight ahead. Stick with us.
When markets shake, your confidence shouldn't. Tom Mosley and the team at Mosley Wealth Management are here to help you stay steady no matter the storm. Call 855-526-1600 to talk strategy and build a plan that's ready for whatever comes next. Quarters, just 25 cents. That's hardly anything, right? But the team at Mosley Wealth Management see quarters a little differently. A quarter is a lot when it's a quarter of your retirement savings. Do you want to pay 25% or more in taxes during your retirement? Mosley Wealth Management can create a plan to help address that. If the only time you think about taxes is when you file them, you don't have a tax strategy. But it's not too late to get one with help from the Mosley Wealth Management team. With more than 30 years of experience, they can help make sure you're not paying a quarter, dime or even a penny more than you should. Call Mosley Wealth Management now at 855-526-1600 to schedule your personalized tax strategy session at one of their 5 California locations. A quarter saved is a quarter earned. Call 855-526-1600 now. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through Mosley Wealth Management, Inc., license number 0K76766. Firm may not give tax advice.
Hey everyone, welcome on back to the program. We are so thrilled to have you on board for another edition of Right on the Money. I want to remind everybody, it is so easy for you to take control of your finances, your retirement, health, your future. All you have to do is text VISIT to 855-526-1600. And the phenomenal team at Mosley Wealth Management will reach out and we will get you your retirement blueprint, Tom, so that everybody feels better. Like if you are one of those folks like I am that you tend to stay awake at night worrying about all those things you can't control, your retirement is something you absolutely can control.
Hey, Dana, you know what? If somebody stays awake at night worrying about their finances, either one of two things: they don't have a plan at all, or they're not confident in their plan. I have so many people that when I would see people on a regular basis, I don't see as many people anymore because I'm leading the company and I'm doing the marketing and the radio and the TV. And that doesn't mean that, boy, I've got 10 great advisors that can sit down with you. They're all fiduciaries. They can really work through. But when I used to sit down with people, the biggest fear they have is running out of money before they die. And that is so crucial that you're able to know and to just have that confidence to know that I've got a plan and that plan is going to work.
I think we talked about this last week. There was an article in CBS Money Watch, and they polled a group of people. I think everyone in that group was over the age of 50. And they said they were more worried about going broke in retirement, statistically more worried about going broke in retirement than they were about death. Because you can't control death, Tom, but you can control your money in retirement.
You know what? You can. It's funny that CBS got on that because Kiplinger has come out with an article on that.
Yeah.
USA Today, Wall Street Journal. I mean, the original was Rutgers University did a study in 2016, and every single report comes back. The survey says, as the old saying goes, the survey says that people are more concerned about running out of money. We know we're going to die. We just don't know when, and we don't know if we have enough.
So let's talk about the importance for everyone listening, Tom, even if you have worked with another advisor in the past, of just the financial checkup, the look under the hood. And, when you think about checkup and you think about doctors, no one likes doing that stuff. But for your health and longevity, we do that. I'm off this week, Tom. I am over the age of 50, and that means a lot of those annual screenings start, right? No one likes to do that, but it's so important to do it to help ensure that we all live a long and happy life. So let's talk about why the financial checkup is critically important for somebody's retirement.
Well, having had a lot of doctor visits when I was younger, I tried to never put that tongue suppressor down into anybody's mouth. We try to make it.
You will not get that at Mosley Wealth Management.
No, in fact, now when the doctor comes to me with that big popsicle stick without the popsicle on it, then I look at him or her and I say, let me try to do this on my own because, Dana, I've learned how to do it without getting gagged, okay? And that's the same way it is with a financial checkup. You need to learn how to do it without it being a gag. It needs to be something, and it can be something that you look forward to if you're doing well. Let me tell you the story of two brothers. Let's say one was named Tommy, that would be me, and the other one was named Donnie, that would be my brother. Now, I'm not a matter of brag. I always made the honor roll, valedictorian, the very top of the class. My brother, on the other hand, if he knew that he had to get 7 spelling words right out of 10 to pass the test, he one time answered the first 7, left the last 3 blank when he was in the 3rd grade. My mom and dad went to the back to school night and they got home and they said, Donnie, why did you leave those 3 blank? And he said, well, I knew I only had to get 7 right. And The other three, I didn't figure I needed to do them. So, squeaking by. Donnie always hated report card day. Okay.
Yeah.
I always loved it. I remember going to the car and opening my report card, showing it to my mom or my dad, whoever was picking it. I was happy. And where's your brother? I don't know. He's off playing. He's off doing something else. And then you could tell when he was coming up, he was really reluctant because his doesn't look as good. He had a variety of numbers and letters on his, if you know what I mean. Okay. And a financial checkup can be something once you have your plan in place that you really look forward to. But I think you said it best. You got to open the hood. It's not, you can't stand outside the front of the car and listen to it. And there's certain number of things you need to check out. Now, we mention these often. There are 6 pillars of a financial plan. There's your income. Where's it coming from? How long will it last? How constant is it? How secure is it? We've talked on this show before about Social Security. It's really important that you work Social Security into that income aspect. Inflation is number 2. What's going to happen if we have higher than what we average with inflation like we did a few years ago?
Mhm.
Your investments, they usually don't need to be the kind of investments at 70 that they were at 40 because you're trying to grow at 40, you're trying to sustain at 70, okay? Your taxes. Oh, we saved all those taxes when we were putting them away in a 401k. And we have a report we run when we do a retirement blueprint, Dana, and it shows all of you out there how much you're going to likely pay in taxes on your 401k. And after we pick people up off the floor
Yeah,
when they see that,
it's a tax time bomb. It really is.
it's humongous because it's the gift that keeps on giving, or the bill that keeps on having to be paid. As long as you're in that IRA and 401k, you're going to be taxed, and they change the rules on that all the time as well. And then your health care. Oh my goodness, you've had parents that have had to get out of this world and how tough it was, or grandparents and how expensive it might have been. And then legacy, leaving it the right way. Those 6 things are what we build when we do a financial checkup. We give you the vitals. It's the first time we do it, it's like an overhaul. We really make sure everything's in place. And then from then on, every year, that financial checkup is a tune-up. What do you need? Do you need an overhaul and a putting in place of a retirement blueprint is what we call it? Or do you need just a checkup, or maybe, as you mentioned, Dana, a second opinion? You say, well, my guy just keeps telling me I'm okay. And I sit across, I was telling a story earlier. I used to sit across from people and they would say, I don't understand it. My guy just keeps telling me I'm okay, but he never shows me the numbers. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a written plan, or she doesn't come to where she says, oh, you're okay. I'll take care of you. What happens when they retire? They retire freely sometime. So be careful. You got to have that financial checkup.
I think with all things, it's good to have a second opinion in medicine, finance, or otherwise. Just text visit to 855-526-1600. 855-526-1600. This does not have to be difficult. And I think sometimes, Tom, people think, oh my gosh, I don't have time to go through and find the statements and do all of the things. You have had people dump stuff off on a desk in a paper bag to your team, and you guys will sort it out. This does not have to be labor intensive.
It does not, and it needs to be. A great story here. I had a guy one time had scheduled an appointment for me. This was several years ago. And I called him and I said, let's just call him Bob. I said, Bob, I can't see you tomorrow because I don't have any of your statements. This was a second appointment to analyze your statements. And he said, oh, I don't know if I'm, and he was talking in a hushed voice. And he said, I don't know if I feel really good about showing my statements to anybody. And I said, are you okay? You're talking in a hushed tone. He said, yeah, I'm at the doctor's office to get a physical. And so I just came back and I said, Bob, did you bring your body? He said, what do you mean? Did I bring my body? I've got to bring my body so that he can do all the tests and do
Yeah.
the checkups. And I said, Bob, that's exactly like me. I'm the financial doctor, and I've got to have your financial statements and look at your situation, analyze your situation. I mean, if you're absolutely positive you're a do-it-yourselfer, you've absolutely positively got it down, and there's no mistake in anything you've got, go ahead. Feel free. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you just are jumping up and down. But if you're smart and you say, hey, I want a second opinion from a professional, take your body to the doctor, take your financial statements to an advisor who's going to build a retirement blueprint, who's going to help you to retirement and through retirement so that you're going to be able to thrive.
Let's get it done. Text visit to 855-526-1600. And I'm betting every once in a while, Tom, somebody comes in and all of their I's are dotted and all of their T's are crossed. But if you had to put a percentage on the number of folks that come in, even for a second opinion, and everything is in order, and you pat them on the head and you say, great job, there's nothing more we can do to help you, I know that that is a very low number of folks that have everything done.
Very, very low. I'd have to guess, because I haven't done scientific polling or anything, but I'd have to guess maybe 1%, maybe 2%.
Yep.
There's always something I can help you with. I had a couple in, this was about 10 years ago. Great story. This couple was in, and you could tell he came reluctantly. She's pushing him to come in, and they're sitting there. And I'm talking about the retirement blueprint that we're willing to build for you. If you just let us look at under the hood and do the financial checkup like we're talking about. And I kept saying, you need a written plan. You need some printouts to show you where you are and where you're going to go and the likelihood of your success. And he kept saying, well, we've got one. And finally she was getting more and more angry. And she said, well, where is it? And he finally pointed with both of his index fingers to his temples on either side. And he said, it's all up here. Okay.
Okay.
And she had a great line. She said, well, what happens? And she reached over and poked him in the temple. She said, what happens when I put everything that's up there 6 foot under? What am I going to do? Okay. And that's why you needed a written plan. It's not just you that's going through it. You say, I'm single. You're going to leave it to somebody. How are they going to take care of it? You need a written plan. That's what we offer in the retirement blueprint.
Text visit right now. Get your own retirement blueprint, 855-526-1600. You are listening to Right on the Money. Go to our website, easeintoretirement.com. You can find us at mosleywealthmanagement.com. And we are back with much more straight ahead.
Crafting your legacy is like planting seeds for a future forest. Let the team at Mosley Wealth Management help you nurture that vision so it grows strong. Call 855-526-1600 to get started.
Social Security is changing, and those changes could affect your finances. Some retirees are seeing bigger checks, but did you know higher benefits could also mean higher taxes? And if you don't have a plan, you could end up paying more than you might expect. That's where Mosley Wealth Management comes in. Social Security is an important part of your retirement, but making simple mistakes like claiming benefits at the wrong time could cost you your hard-earned money. With more than 30 years of experience, the Mosley Wealth Management team can show you ways to get more out of your benefits and keep more of your money. Call 855-526-1600 now to set up your Social Security analysis at one of our 5 California locations. Don't put this off. Every decision you make about Social Security matters. Call 855-526-1600 today. That's 855-526-1600. Don't miss this chance to build a better plan for your retirement. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through Mosley Wealth Management, Inc. License number 0K76766. Firm does not offer tax advice.
Welcome on back to Right on the Money. And I want to remind everyone, stick around because we do dip into the mailbag from time to time and we answer your questions. And if you have questions, please give us a call at 855-526-1600. You can also text VISIT to that number, 855-526-1600, and get your hands on your own retirement blueprint. As we sit here with President of Mosley Wealth Management, Tom Mosley, that blueprint's going to be different for every single person listening, Tom. Your neighbors will be different. Your relatives will be different. Heck, between husbands and wives, a plan could be different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes people, you can text, you can call, leave us a voicemail. We're not there on the weekends. We will call you back on Monday or Tuesday when we're back in the office. We'll set up an appointment. You come in, you look at it. We start with a blank piece of paper. Don't call in, don't text in and say, send me a blueprint. Well, I'm going to have to send you a blank piece of paper because we don't know where you are. Look at it this way. All of what you've saved so far is your lumberyard. Okay, it's out there. It's in a 401k. Maybe it's in 3 or 4 different IRAs. Maybe you've got a 457. You got that old 401k from where you used to work that you just left there. You've got a brokerage account. You just inherited this IRA from mom or dad. You've got all of those things out there. Sometimes I've seen 12, 14, 15. The world's record was 32 different accounts. This person came in one time and they had them all over the place. That's your lumberyard. What we do is we take your lumberyard and we use it and we form a blueprint that takes it. And in a house, there's not just 2x4s, but there's doors and windows and sheetrock and 2x4s and roofing and all of those things. And we put together a house that you can securely live in throughout retirement. That's what we do in building a blueprint. But we've got to see your lumberyard. You don't have as much as some other people, and you've got far more than other people. So where are you? It's not Bob at the water cooler or Sally in the break room. It's you. You need a retirement blueprint that's got your name on it, that takes your lumberyard and builds a retirement financial house that you can live in throughout your eternity here on earth.
So they will help you figure it out, folks, how you can really ensure that you will have enough income if you live a long, long time in retirement. And we hope that you all do. And there are things when we talk about a financial checkup, Tom, even for the most type A person listening out there, where you have every single duck in a row. There are ticking time bombs really out there that some people just don't think about when it comes to your money. According to Fidelity, the average couple can expect to spend an estimated $300,000 on out-of-pocket healthcare expenses in retirement. That does not include long-term care, by the way. That is $300,000 in raw healthcare costs. We could spend hours just talking about Medicare, Tom.
Yeah, we could. 178,000 for those of you who are single. I always, want to address you because half of our clientele, I would say, are single out there, and you got the yo-yo plan. You're on your own, and you've got to do it on your own. It's 178,000 if you're single, a little bit more than half because there's some things you have to pay for that maybe the other spouse can help you with. But whatever, you've got to consider healthcare cost. And Dana, you just went right to the heart of the major thing. Like Social Security, we talk about when it comes to income sometime, is the mother lode of income for most people. Medicare is the mother lode of most people when it comes to healthcare. You have to get your Medicare right. Do you need or want to go with Medicare Advantage? Most of the time, there are some PPOs with Medicare Advantage, but most of the time people think of that as an HMO. It's a health maintenance organization type situation where you've got a gatekeeper and you've got to go to a family of doctors. Or do you want a Medicare supplement or the Medigap plan? Those are the two major differences: a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement or a Medigap. And you know what? That only covers 80% of your medical when you just get Part A and B. You've got to get that Medicare Advantage or Medicare supplement to address the other 20%. Now, notice I didn't say, Dana, that it pays for all of it because you still have deductibles, you still have copays, depending on the plan that you get. But only when you get Part A and Part B from Medicare, and then you add to that a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare supplement, are you pretty much 100% up. And then when you turn 64, my wife just went through this for a year. They start, filling your mailbox with trees every day with books and papers and slicks trying to get you to sign up with them for Medicare Advantage or Medicare supplement. And they never take the time to really explain the whole course of Medicare. We do at our place.
You get one shot to get this right. I always tell people, do not try to go Medicare alone.
I love Joe Namath. He They won the Super Bowl in
Yes.
1969. I was a junior in high school. I loved it because they beat the Colts and nobody in the world thought they were going to do it. But I don't trust him to tell me who to get my Medicare. So, be careful who you listen to. I mention on the show all the time Bob at the water cooler and Sally in the break room. They may be listening to Magnum and JJ and Joe Namath, or whomever, but you need to get your advice from somebody who understands Medicare. And then you bring up something often on this show, and I appreciate it because you need to understand out there that only 90 days in your lifetime of what could be considered long term care is really covered by Medicare.
Wow.
You have to get a separate long term care policy, or you have to have a long term care plan. Now, notice I said the difference a policy or a plan, but your healthcare cost has got to be considered at 300,000 plus for a couple, at 178,000 if you're single. You've got to consider what are you doing. There's a big investment company that advertises all weekend long, and they it's funny how they say we make more money when you make more money and
Mhm.
things like that. It's everybody does that, okay? So, but they talk about they don't sell commissionable products. If you're working with somebody who doesn't sell a commissionable product, they won't talk to you about Medicare because it's a commissionable product. We do at Mosley Financial Services and Mosley Wealth Management, we do sell commissionable products, and we are fiduciaries. We're fiduciaries when we are investing your money, but we also cover the insurance side like Medicare, like long-term care, like life insurance, like those kind of things. We also cover those things because we really do want to be a complete financial advisory firm for you for life. It's really important that you get that.
Hey, Tom, for our younger listeners, if you're listening and you're in your 40s or you're in your 50s, is now a good time to be thinking about things like long-term care insurance when my guess is it's way cheaper as you are younger than it is as with most insurance as you're marching toward the finish line?
Again, Dana, you're spot on. Most of the time, if you wait till you're 65 or 69 or 71, I just quoted a couple 71 and 69, the cost was so high
Yeah.
because the company knows they're likely to have to put their money on the line and pay for something. The best long-term care policies I've seen, here's a news flash, are you ready?
Yep.
Is if when they have open enrollment in the fall at your company, if they offer long-term care, and you need to find out one word, is it portable? Portable means you can take it with you when you leave the company. You can take it and it can go from a group policy that it is at the company to an individual policy that you can keep with you
Oh,
for the
wow.
rest of your life. If it's portable, I don't make any money for that. Okay. You got that out there. I'm just trying to help you. If it's portable, you need to jump on that because it's a group policy. Every one I've ever seen was lower price than it is if you get an individual policy. Plus, for long term care, you've got to qualify for it. And it's almost like, have you ever had indigestion? Yes. Well, I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't qualify for this, or we're going to raise your rates. Now, when I said you need a plan, you need a policy is what I said before, but you also could use a plan. A plan could be, hey, I want to slide a couple of 100,000. This is what my wife and I have done. We do not have a long-term care policy. We have a plan. We have slid $200,000 into an annuity that if we either one hit two of the six activities of daily living, we can't feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, bathe ourselves, transport, those kind of things. I think there's one more I didn't name. But if you hit two of the six, that annuity will double the payout for 5 years. And it doesn't have to be in a nursing facility or a long term care facility. It's actually just activities of daily living coverage. But there are other ways. There's also hybrid life insurance policies where you can put the money in, you can live and live off of it, you can get your money back, or you can die and your family gets a life insurance benefit. There are things out there. Let's back to the do it yourself. You might not have run across that in your do it yourself investing. Those are the kind of things that can save and put a patch over the hole in the bottom of the bag of your retirement, because healthcare can drain it if you're not careful.
It is time for a financial checkup. Text VISIT to 855-526-1600 and let them start building your retirement blueprint at 𝗦𝗡 Wealth Management. Their team will help you do it, and you will be so glad that you did. Get that retirement blueprint now. Text VISIT to 855-526-1600 or go to our website, 𝗦𝗡lywealthmanagement.com, easeintoretirement.com, where you will find a wealth of information about all of the topics we cover here on Right on the Money. We're back with much more straight ahead.
Legacy planning isn't just about numbers, it's about impact. Let 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management help you create something that lasts for generations. Call 855-526-1600 to begin your legacy journey. Quarters, just 25 cents. That's hardly anything, right? But the team at 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management see quarters a little differently. A quarter is a lot when it's a quarter of your retirement savings. Do you want to pay 25% or more in taxes during your retirement? 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management can create a plan to help address that. If the only time you think about taxes is when you file them, you don't have a tax strategy. But it's not too late to get one with help from the 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management team. With more than 30 years of experience, they can help make sure you're not paying a quarter, dime, or even a penny more than you should. Call 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management now at 855-526-1600 to schedule your personalized tax strategy session at one of their 5 California locations. A quarter saved is a quarter earned. Call 855-526-1600 now. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management, Inc., license number 0K76766. Firm may not give tax advice.
Hey everyone, welcome on back to Right on the Money with President of 𝗦𝗡ly Wealth Management, Tom Mosley. And Tom, folks out there listening have questions. You have answers. And if you don't have the answer, you know where you can find it. I mean, you are the guy. And I want to remind everybody, you can call with your questions. You can text VISIT to 855-526-1600. I'm going to say that again. It is 855-526-1600. And there is no question too big or too small, because if you're listening right now and you have a question about this or that, odds are some of our other listeners have the same question. Tom, you've seen this your entire career.
Yeah, absolutely. And the questions, everybody thinks, and you are completely different in your situation, but you can generally throw a blanket over the questions that people have. The biggest question people have is, am I going to run out of money?
Yeah.
The biggest question I get when I was doing leads on and seeing people on a regular basis, when I was meeting with our great people who call in and come in for an appointment, is they come in and they say, can I afford to retire? And that is a scary thing.
Yeah.
Do I walk out that door and walk away from the paycheck? Do I have enough in my lumberyard to turn that into a paycheck that's going to last the rest of my life?
All right, let's dip into the mailbag. I don't care where you are, Encino, Arcadia, Ontario, Anaheim, San Diego. Tom covers it all, and we love your questions. And by the way, we don't give these to Tom prior to, and so we are going to put him to the test today. Question number 1 says, Tom, I am worried about being able to afford a nursing home one day. What are some of the options for handling those types of expenses? Oh, the dreaded nursing home, Tom.
Number 1 is stay healthy and die quick.
Yeah.
All right. That's got to be put down, but most of us are not going to do that. Okay. That was a joke for those of you who got offended by it. Okay. Number 2 is you need some kind of coverage for nursing home. And I've said before on the program, you've heard me say it many times, you can have a policy or a plan. You can get a long-term care policy, sometimes through work. Sometimes you can get an individual policy, or you can have a plan. And that plan could be just setting aside money and putting that in a bucket I grew up on the farm, so I have to have my buckets.
Yep.
Okay, Dana. And you're putting it in a bucket over there and leave it on that side of the barn and don't mess with it because that's your long-term care bucket and let that grow. And if you don't use it, you can leave it to your kids. A lot of people like that better, Dana, than having a policy that's going to cost them a lot of money every single month that they might not ever use. So you can just invest that money. You can put it into an annuity that sometimes if you hit 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, it'll double the payout for 5 years. And if you're married, it could cover both of you on that. Sometimes you could use a life insurance policy that's a particular built hybrid life insurance policy that covers you for that. But there are lots of ways to cover long-term care. The worst way to cover long-term care is a hope strategy. I hope I don't ever
Right.
need it. Okay. And then there are some cultures who still do this, and I honor those cultures. I really do. But most cultures don't honor the fact that if I get sick and I'm old, my kids will take care of me. Okay. If I get sick and I'm old, I think I love my kids. I think my kids dearly love me, but I don't want to be a burden to them. I want to be taken care of without them having to do the care because I've seen with my dad taking care of my mom who had Alzheimer's, with an aunt who took care of my grandmother, with my wife who took care of her mother. I've seen the wear and tear on the caregiver. Okay. It's something you don't bring up.
I'm going to tell you on our program here, I'm sitting here in Kansas City, and on our program, one of the most heated discussions that we ever helped facilitate on our show was about whether or not you bring someone into your home to care for them in your home. And I tend to tell it like it is. I said, for most people, that is not practical. Not only in today's society and income disparity and all of those things, can people just afford to take off work to do that? But I don't have the medical know-how, number one, to take care of a loved one. I want them to have competent care. And number two, physically, Tom, when my grandma got sick, I couldn't have lifted her if I had wanted to. So I think people like to think, well, I would just do this. The reality is much different.
Oh, listen, let me bring that home with a personal illustration about my mom and dad. My dad cared for my mom through an 11-year long down slope of Alzheimer's, started first with Parkinson's disease. And about 6 years before she passed away, they had this grand idea, and everybody loved it to start with. Jerry, this lady, moved in. They had an apartment-like area on the other side of their house,
Yep.
moved in and cared for my mom when my dad couldn't be there. Pretty much she was there, Dana, just to call the emergency if something happened to my mom because she had no medical training. She knew some of the things my mom liked and didn't like. She could help her get up and go to the bathroom and things like that. But then in 2008, my mom passed away. And guess where Jerry lived? She lived in the house with my dad.
Oh,
My dad, that was just a nightmare there because she, we talked to her. I remember my dad and I sitting down and talked to her, said, "What are you going to do now?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to keep living here," because she had stayed there and lived there. And fair to her, she had done that for 6 years. That was her home for 6 years, So I'm not saying there's a solution. I'm not giving you a solution to that problem. I'm just saying that becomes a problem. That becomes an issue. So, you've got all kinds of things and so you want to take care of it yourself. The biggest thing people say, and we always say this at our seminars, our goal tonight is not for you to figure out which of your kids you're going to move into, in retirement, but our goal is for building a plan for you to sustain yourself throughout your retirement. And the one thing is that nursing home. And the question was, I'm worried about, I think you said, being able to afford nursing home care. You better be worried because it's high. You say, I've heard it's astronomical. It's astronomical, and they just put a plus by it. So you've got to be ready for it.
It's a great question. Thank you for it. And if you have questions, if you need to get in with Tom's team, and we hope that you do, text VISIT to 855-526-1600 for all of your healthcare questions, Medicare, all of those things. And then this one, Tom, we hear this question all the time. How much would you recommend I might set aside every year for retirement if I'm planning to retire in 10 years. People love round numbers, Tom. So they will ask, do I need $1 million in retirement? Or they will say, how much do I need with 10 years left before I retire? You hear this all the time.
Yeah, I do. And let's just take the 1 million. I think that they officially raised that to 1.4 million recently. I
Yeah, I
don't know
saw that the other day.
Yeah, so it's 1.4 million is the old 1 million. But in some ways, this is a little bit of a catch 22, a gotcha question, a trick question. It's like saying, how long will it take you to get to downtown LA? All right. So, how much do I need to put away in retirement over 10 years? You're trying to retire. Where are you now? Are you like I am in Anaheim? I'm 35 miles from downtown LA. Are you in Bakersfield? Are you listening in Santa Barbara like many of our listeners do? Are you down in San Diego listening to this? And you say, well, I'm over 100 miles from LA and I've got to go through the same traffic you do. So that depends on where you are. Now I couldn't drive home the point any more right now by saying, when you call in and say, I need a retirement blueprint, you've got to come in and let us see, guess what the answer is here, where you are right now. How much do you have put away in your 401k?
Yep.
How much are you able to put away in your 401k? You may want $1.4 million, but if you're working in a fast food restaurant and you're making even $20 an hour, it's going to be really hard for you to get to that in 10 years. So you've got to consider where you are right now, what kind of vehicle you have to take you somewhere. You say, oh, I've got a bike. Oh, great. But it's an electric bike. Oh, a little bit better. But I've got a motorcycle, even better. Or I've got a car, or I've got a helicopter. You understand what I'm saying?
It's going to be different for everybody.
It's going to be different for everybody. And so that's where you need to come in, sit down with one of our all-star fiduciary advisors, and we can help you.
Question number 3, Tom. If we aren't sure we're getting the right guidance to help protect our income, what should we do? And they specifically list these retirement risks: market risk, healthcare costs, taxes, and inflation. That is part of your retirement blueprint, Tom.
Yeah, it sounds like they've been listening to the show.
Yeah.
It's so flattering many times for you to come in. And when I do get a chance to sit across from people and see them when they first come in and they start using some of the terminology we use on the show, it's your income, not your lump sum. It's your withdrawal rate, not your growth rate that's important. It's how long will your money last? And some of the things that we say repeatedly, because we want to drive those things home. It's very flattering for you to sit down and talk to us, but you need the biggest thing is you need somebody you can trust, and that trust is going to bleed over to where you can sleep well at night. I've been doing this 30 years, okay, and doesn't mean that we've never made a mistake. Everybody get that? Everybody understand that? It doesn't mean that we are perfect, but we absolutely do our best. And when we do make a mistake, we work to rectify any mistakes that we've made. But we can't make a mistake on your plan if you never bring it to us and you never let us look at it. We can't do it right the way we've done thousands of times if you don't bring your stuff to us. You tell us where you are. You describe where you are. We look at your accounts. We look at all of that. And from that, we build your own retirement blueprint. That's going to build your confidence. That's going to let you sleep at night. There is no investment or plan worth you losing sleep over. You need a retirement blueprint.
And they are all over, folks. Encino, Arcadia, Ontario, Anaheim, San Diego. Text, visit, and make that appointment now. Will your money last as long as you will? 855-526-1600. Text visit to 855-526-1600. You can call or you can find us on the web, easeintoretirement.com. We are so thankful to have you on board each and every week with us, and we hope to see you back here next week. Make it a great week, everybody.
𝗦𝗲 Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through 𝗦𝗲 Wealth Management, Inc., MWM, and 𝗦𝗲 Insurance and Financial Services are affiliated companies by common ownership. License number 0K76766. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. 𝗦𝗲 Wealth Management, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by 𝗦𝗲 Wealth Management. This radio show is a paid placement.